today to predict things like prices, things like that. But that's really just making predictions, and then you have to make decisions based on that prediction.
What they need are some smart mathematical techniques to help prune back the search space so they're only considering.
Hello. Oh, it's always so loud. Okay, we're going to be starting. That's exciting. So welcome everybody to Innovation Week, and thank you to Melbourne Connect for inviting us to take part again this year. We are Optima. If you don't know who we are an ARC Industrial Transformation Training Centre. We work with 10 industry partners, and we have 12 industry student projects. We have incredibly talented students in Optima working on optimisation across industries. We have a project with AGL working on optimising their wind farm, a project with Mecca Cosmetics optimising their inventory. We have more than one project with Melbourne Water. One of them is taking water from rainwater tanks on people's property and releasing that water into the environment for the good of the nature and platypus there. We have many, many different topics across different areas. It's a really great centre to be part of. We're based at the University of Melbourne, but also at Monash University, and we have 150 members. If you're interested in knowing more about Optima or optimisation, speak to myself or any of our wonderful moderators who are all their Optima members. These guys are all working across disciplines. We have engineers, we have mathematicians, we have computer scientists, we have people in business, all working on different methodologies of optimisation. We're all coming together to create good decisions for business. Today, I would like to introduce our moderator, Simon Pampina. He is a world-renowned mathematician and comedian, and we're so happy to welcome him back again today. He's moderated the last 3 of our Optima debates, so I'm sure he's going to do an amazing job. So, welcome, Simon.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. How are we feeling? Who's come to one of these things before? So I should have specified how I wanted that answered. But yes, a few people have. Who's actually participated in one before? Yes. Hello, hello, hello. Nice to see you all again. See that as a good sign, okay? So they've had positive experiences. They want to come back and see what's happening. So it's so good to see you all here today. We've got a wonderful panel here. Our 2 teams are fantastic. They have worked incredibly hard on coming up with solid arguments. And your job is to listen to them carefully and apply a certain type of judgment. So you might have already made up your minds about this particular debate topic. We shouldn't optimize everything. Imperfection is humanity's best feature. And it might just be that. However, it's your job to put that aside for 1 second. And just go, you know what, I might have my own ideas about this, but I'm willing to listen to one side or the other. However, we do want you to have all that information in your heads because you'll be an important factor in deciding which team wins. Because you are the ones deciding which team wins. Does that feel good? You don't like that sense of power or not? Sorry. It's like, can't we get something else to do that? I don't know. No, you're actually going to be doing it. You're going to be doing it yourself with your brains and with all your learnings. You're going to be taking on board these arguments. And a really important part is that you're going to get to ask a question. Now, I want to be clear. Not everyone is going to ask a question. Does that feel, everyone's feeling all right with that? Because I need to clear that up just in case everyone was like, wow, I'm going to get to ask a question. No. But everyone in this panel will be answering a question. So we will have a moment where you can ask a question, and please think through, when you're listening to our speakers, think through anything that kind of comes up or a particular argument. Think through whether you agree with that or disagree with that, or if there's something you can say to illuminate what is being said for the entirety of the audience. Remember, you're working together. Yeah? Do you feel good? This is great. You can put this on your CV if you want. It's good. This is the sort of thing we want to see, and we want to see more people working together on these great ideas. Okay, so shall we get started? Actually, I think I'm going to just quickly explain what's going to happen first. Okay, so each of these people here have had the time to organise and prepare a speech of 3 minutes length, okay? I will be saying at 30 seconds to go, 30 seconds, and they will take that on board, and then they're going to try and finish as quickly as possible. Please listen to that argument while they're making it. In a debate structure, we go back and forth. We start with the positive, the negative, go back and forth. We listen to all three speakers. Then at that point, you're going to be asking questions. And then there's a final 2-minute period for our final speakers to make rebuttals. And then that's it. That's all the time they get. And then the time goes over to all of you to make up your minds who has won. And if you want to know how we're going to do that, it's through applause. So can I hear your applause at the moment? Is that applause for me or to being here? So I haven't given you the options for that. You can applaud that. Anyway, okay, sorry. We're getting into a bit of an applause loop here. So what I'd rather do is actually get into the debate itself and the ideas. So we're going to start with the positive. And the way this has been framed is quite interesting, because the positive is vouching for imperfection, going for the fact that we should optimize everything because imperfection is humanity's best feature. So can I ask the first speaker from the first speaker, yes, come up please. So we have here Hadi Khorshidi. Can you please put your hands together for Hadi? He's going to make his way to the front. He's a senior research fellow at the University of Melbourne. Okay, take it away.
Thanks, Simon. Okay. Leo Tolstoy once said, if you look higher, okay, if you look for perfection, you will never be content. And isn't this painfully true? Have you ever regretted not submitting a paper, finishing a project, or applying for a job because you were waiting to make it perfect? Perfection didn't help you. It robbed you. This is the peril of perfectionism. Perfection doesn't inspire action. It paralyzes it. Perfection leads to passiveness. Dear fellow academics, researchers, and PhD students, let's take a PhD as an example. If you go for the perfect thesis, you will never have a PhD. Or look at some Microsoft. If they waited for the perfect Windows, we would still typing on dusty typewriters. Instead, they released something clunky, buggy, and then improved it. In healthcare, imperfection can save lives too. If doctor waited for the perfect treatment with no risk, no drug or vaccine would ever reach to patients. COVID vaccines were not perfect, but they were good enough to save millions, and perfect inaction would have cost lives. So we must remember not letting perfect be the enemy of the good. And imperfection is not a weakness. It is the humanity's best feature. It helps adaptability, creativity, and resilience. It allows collaboration. Because if something is not perfect, there is room for others to contribute. So let's stop making everything perfect or great again. Because life, like research, like relationship, isn't about being flawless. It's about showing up, doing something, and making progress. So progress over paralyzes. Action over impossible perfection, and imperfect humans doing and have done imperfect things and moving the world forward. Thank you.
Big round of applause. Thank you so much. How many PhD students do we have in the audience? Yeah, take note. Did you hear that? It's never going to be perfect. Publish, publish, publish. That's fantastic. Oh, I love that. I love the fact that we're hearing some different ideas here, which I think we can all relate to. Buggy is best. Can you please trademark that? Someone's going to steal it. And also, I love the idea that collaboration. So we all know how powerful it is to collaborate with others. Who wants to collaborate with someone who's perfect? You don't want to go into a collaboration meeting and then just sort of feel, oh, I'm not very good. But the imperfection allows and invites in different ideas. So I love how that's actually part of the human process. Were you convinced? Well, don't make up your minds just yet. You've just heard one speaker. Just think what's going to happen once you hear every other speaker. Okay, so we're going to move on now. Have we given adequate time? Yes, you've made some notes because they are collecting notes on what's been said. Okay, so we have our first speaker here for the negative. This is from Team Perfection. I'd like to introduce up to the podium Xiaodong Li. Xiaodong Li is a professor at RMIT and Assistant Associate Dean of Data Science of AI. Round of applause.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by asking this question. How did you get here, this building, Melbourne Connect, this morning? Did you get here on time? If you did, that's perfect. Congratulations. You have made, you have managed to find the perfect solution to get here on time. This is optimization. What we do every day is revolve around optimization, be it traveling or deciding where to have dinner, which restaurant. So our, affirmative team sitting over there, if they did not optimize, I'm wondering where they will be right now. Then if they were not here, I would not be debating with them right here, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot afford to leave everything to chance or imperfection. We humans are product of evolution over millions of years. That's nature's way of optimizing. Survival of the fittest. Without constantly and continuously optimizing ourselves against the hostile and ever-changing environment, we would have gone into extinction millions of years ago, just like the dinosaurs. Imperfection is simply not good enough. We must try our best, even we not ended up with the perfect solution. It is the process of seeking perfection matters. The moment you stop trying, there will be catastrophic consequences. Imagine you are a doctor performing surgery on a patient, and how could you not do your best, right? Think about it. Somebody's life is on the line. Let's say after the surgery, you discover you accidentally left a surgical scissors in the stomach of the patient. That would not be totally unacceptable, right? Perfection is everything. So this also applies to marriage. Imagine if my wife tells me, you are perfect, and I reply to her with this. My debating team, affirmative team in this debate just convinced me perfection is humanity's best features. So I decided to marry you. Isn't that ridiculous? Don't you agree? So all in all, journey matter more than just the destination. We cannot afford not to optimize. We cannot afford to settle for imperfection.
30 seconds.
Otherwise, my wife will kill me. Thank you.
Round of applause for Xiaolong. All right, so he's put his life on the line for you guys. You've heard that argument. What a great volley to the arguments there. I love the fact that someone's come up here and asked questions from an audience and asking questions of the people who are actually going to agree with them. You know what I mean? It's like, who arrived here on time today? The people that arrived on time. Yeah. It's also the other argument. It's like you're talking to human beings that are the product of evolution. You're very savvy with this stuff, okay? So the people who actually you'd like to hear from aren't here, or maybe not here yet. But anyway, that is a fantastic volley here from the negative. We're hearing from team perfection and imperfection. And I think what is a really important point here was that the process of seeking perfection is what matters. That's a good point to make, isn't it? Okay, well, let's continue on now. And hear from our positive team. Please put your hands together for Guido Tak. He's an associate professor at Monash University and also the Associate Dean of Graduate Research. Whenever you're ready.
All right, so of course we shouldn't optimize everything because we cannot optimize everything. So I'm going to get the big guns out right at the start. So let's start with Alan Turing, right? One of the greatest computer scientists. He showed that there are problems that we cannot solve. Or Kurt Gödel, a famous logician. He showed there are truths that cannot be proven. Or let's look at Werner Heisenberg, one of the founding fathers of quantum physics, who shows that you can't know exactly where you are and where you're heading at the same time. So if these people can't optimize everything, then neither can we. But what they tell us is that we are operating within limits, right? We're operating within constraints, and that's what's really important. So we are constrained by physics, by logic, we're constrained by reality, and that limits what we can do. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually really helpful. It's something we should embrace because we can use it as a guiding principle. And I want to give you some examples of that. So the first thing I want to mention is that without constraints, uncontrolled optimization will ruin all the nice things in life. So for example, if I'd optimized purely for maximum income, no more board games, no more movie nights, complete waste of time. You wouldn't ever go out to a nice restaurant, far too expensive. So optimization would really ruin those things for me. What if we optimized music purely for commercial appeal? It would just sound all the same, pretty boring, artificial, and maybe we're already there. I'm not sure if any of you saw the viral video of the guy who gets up at 3 a.m. to do his morning routine. So my point is that if you take it to the extreme, optimization is actually really unhealthy. The second point I want to make is if we focus on optimization without constraints, then that robs us of the opportunity to have serendipity in our lives. And the kind of cliche example is always that Alexander Fleming wouldn't have discovered penicillin if he'd optimized for his lab hygiene. But I actually want to come up with examples that are much closer to our reality. So for example, the previous speaker asked me personally where I'd be if I had not optimized. I can tell you, if I had optimized my university career, I would have chosen a different degree, I would have chosen a different career, I wouldn't be in this country today, I wouldn't have even met my wife. So I made decisions without optimizing, but under pretty tight constraints at the time, and I'm very happy with the outcome. Okay, so finally, if we optimize without constraints, without limits, then that really threatens our ability to make good decisions. And I think this is really important. Simple example, when I cook dinner, I don't optimize for nutrition. I try to stay within my budget and make sure that everybody will actually eat the dinner. But more importantly, if we ignore constraints and limits and so on, the constraints, the limits, the rules, the regulations are what actually makes our society work. It makes sure that our economy doesn't spiral off into uncontrolled oligarchy, those sort of things. It's absolutely critical if we want to get climate change under control that we're aware of the limits and the constraints. So finding solutions to problems that are highly constrained is really where the game is. All right, and I want to leave you with the words of the great British philosopher, Sir Michael Philip Jagger, who said, you can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you may just find you get what you need. Thank you.
Big round of applause for Guido. Oh my goodness. Wow, we are really getting going here. Okay, so here's a few points for people who are in the position here of our speakers. If you've only got 3 people to work with in a team, it doesn't stop you calling in other people to join the bench. The names you dropped for your team, Turing, Gödel, Heisenberg, Fleming, and Mick Jagger. But I'm not allowed Mick Jagger because that was actually after your time. But you were on a roll and I didn't want to get in the way of that. So please just disregard the comment about Mick Jagger for lots of different reasons. Okay, so that was a very convincing argument. Looking at the way that you personalized it. You personalized it for yourself. The fact that imperfections bring greatness and also bring you to us, which we're very happy about. And the idea that it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy to seek perfection. Do you agree? Okay, well, now we need to hear from the opposition to that point of view. And we need to bring up to the stage. Hello, how are you? Yeah, okay, so please come up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get my notes together. Yes, thank you very much. So, Mansoureh Mahdi, please. Welcome to the podium. Mansoureh is doing a postdoc research fellowship at ARC Digital Bioprocesses Development Hub at Uni of Melbourne. Yeah. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, guys. Without seeking perfection through optimization, the world doesn't just slow down. It collapsed like IKEA furniture built without the instruction manual. And let's be honest, none of us has built IKEA without crying at least once. Beyond our daily routines, if we really, truly care about global well-being, we must seek perfection in everything we optimize. First, healthcare. Hadi told about the COVID vaccine. Picture this. You are standing in line with your child, waiting for COVID vaccine. The line stretches for blocks, supplies are delayed, and the nurse is on break. Meanwhile, in some far corner of the world, even penguins in Antarctica seems to have had 3 doses already. This isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. When healthcare isn't optimized, children are left vulnerable, lives are put at risk, and chaos replaces care. But when systems are optimized, supply chain, scheduling, distribution, every person gets what they need. That is the perfect solution and is the difference between chaos and care. Second, education. We all need to seek perfection through an optimized education system. Without it, for example, class schedules clash and students end up frustrated, some overloaded, others waiting a year to take one subject. But an optimized system changes everything with timetables that align and schedules that actually work. With optimization, students can study effectively, graduate on time, and education becomes a pathway to opportunity. Another perfect solution. And finally, climate change. Without optimization, Earth is a kitchen mess. Floods in one place, fires in another, and people roasting marshmallows on a street. Soon the planet will be extra crispy. And this chaos is not just inconvenient, is deadly if we fail to optimize how we live, produce energy, and grow food. But with optimization, solar panels, clean transport, and smart farming, we can turn the dial from burn to simmer. If we can't perfect all these, then welcome to the planet of toast. So here's the truth. Global well-being isn't luck. It isn't just accepting imperfection. It's seeking perfection through optimization. Without it, we don't get well-being. We get disaster. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mansoureh. Okay, so there are the big questions being brought up right now. Do we want to be imperfect when we're talking about those really life-changing questions? IKEA, yes, that was the point. And healthcare, and also climate change. So that is a really important point. How do we actually want to approach this problem as optimizations and people working in optimization? Do we want to leave things to chance? Is that something that we want to include, or are we always seeking perfection? Is that the answer? Okay. We are now ready to hear the final speaker. For the positive, please put your hands together for Tava Olsen, Professor of Operations and Supply Chain Management and Deputy Dean of Melbourne Business School. Take it away.
Thank you. So you've heard from my teammates in terms of why we can't and shouldn't optimize everything. So from my perspective, we've already won. We can stop now, but okay, let's dive deeper. So Hardy outlined the perils of perfection, how the perfect research paper or thesis is the one that never gets submitted. Guido talked about sometimes you can't optimize, and even if you can, maybe you shouldn't. It can rob us of joy, of discovery, even of decent dinner options. So optimization works when the goals are clear and measurable. Deliver a package, schedule an airline, the somewhat dubious examples we've just been listening to. Great, okay, those are good for optimization. But what about when the goals are human, right? What about love? What about art, friendship, justice? What do we optimize for? Happiness? Efficiency? GDP? Likes on Instagram? Optimizing for the wrong thing is worse than not optimizing at all. And even if we optimize for the right thing, there can be unintended consequences, particularly when the environment changes. So I'm glad you brought up evolution, because New Zealand's birds optimized for a country without predators. Predators showed up, and now 78% of New Zealand's bird species are endangered or endangered. So they didn't just get lazy and decide to stop flying. They optimized for an environment without predators. So humanity's greatness comes not from optimization, but from imperfection. Creativity relies on experimentation. Resilience relies on setbacks. And innovation relies on accidents and mistakes. Guido already talked about penicillin. You probably also know that 3M's Post-it notes came because a chemist was looking for an extra strong adhesive. Microwaves came about because an engineer at Raytheon noticed that the chocolate bar in his pocket was melting. And let's not even talk about Viagra. So optimization assumes you know everything. Great discoveries require radical new thinking. Breakthrough ideas can lead to an avalanche of discoveries, but they really come from optimization. Optimization is a tool, a mathematical one most of us here know and love, but like any tool, it's only suitable for some environments. It's like stirring your coffee with a blender. Fast, but pointless. Optimization also requires that there's some central decision maker to actually get the stuff done. If individuals are optimizing their own stuff, then we lead to the prisoner's dilemma. But if there's central planning, well, communism didn't work out so well. So a fully optimized world is tidy, predictable, but utterly lifeless. Optimization makes us efficient, but imperfection makes us human. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our best feature.
Wow. Fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, you've done my job you've done the job for me talking about summarising. But yes, I didn't think I was going to hear that, but who wants to live in a world of perfect optimisation? That's devastating. So we're hearing some really good things here, and a lovely little counterexample to the power of evolution. Speaking for the voices of those who couldn't be present, thank you so much, the flightless birds of New Zealand. So you've heard that argument now. It's been put together for you, okay? I want you to put that save it into your brains. Let your natural AI, the best AI, work on that problem for you. Give it lots of time, drink water, whatever you need to do. Because there is one piece of information left to add to this debate, and that is coming from the negative. And from the negative, we're talking about the positive. Don't you like the way we framed all of this? So please, speaking for Team Perfection is our third speaker, Yasser Kidmay. Please come to the podium. Now, Yasser is a PhD student with a distinguished career spanning 11 months. And he cites one of his hobbies as being negative. So this is a walk in the park for him. Put your hands together and start when you're ready.
Thank you, everyone. I was hoping to keep things light today, as I was told this was a lighthearted and humorous debate. A theme the affirmative team have so fully embodied. I mean, I certainly found their arguments to be a joke. But I'm afraid I cannot follow their example, because I must talk of something of actual importance. See, Xiaodong told you that we must optimize for convenience and marriage. Mansoura told you we must optimize for well-being and penguins. I'm here to tell you, I'm here to plead with you that we must optimize for survival, for our survival. The world is dying. Every decision we make comes at a cost of the limited resources we have. We no longer live in balance with nature. We live at its expense. No matter how insignificant these costs may seem, they will add up. And one day, a day will come when, after paying them, we won't have enough left for all of us. On that day, we will fight for what is left. There will be death, there will be destruction, and then there will be nothing left. So isn't it our responsibility to make the least costly decision? But we're human, right? We have needs, we have wants, we have dreams. So should we not try to achieve these in the least costly way? I think that's what they call, optimization, right? It's an approach to living. It's not living robotic lives. And so I urge you, optimize your everyday decisions. Take the most efficient route, waste the least amount of food, marry the least amount of times. This only means think a little more. This does not mean live like machines. It means think a little more about your decisions. Try to come to a better solution. Because every decision counts. It has meaning. It has consequences. For some problems, we may never be able to find the perfect solution. But that should not stop us from trying to get as close as we can. Imperfection, it's not a feature, it's a flaw. But humanity's desire to overcome it, that is our best feature. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Imperfection is not a feature, it's a flaw. There you go. There's a one-line summation. Perfectly put. Okay, so you have now heard from both sides. Do people have questions? Thank you. So what we want to do is you're going to start thinking about these questions. We're going to, how should we do this? Do you have a question for a particular person, or would you like it to be answered? Yeah, okay. So what we might do is we can answer, I'll let you guys put your hands up with what you want to answer, but everyone's going to get to answer one question. Yes? Yes, after this one, yeah. Yasser wants to start rebuttaling right now, so it's okay. So rebuttals will come after you've asked some questions. Okay, so yes. So please just say your name. Chris, okay. Chris, ask your question, please. Yeah, it's on.
Okay, so my question, I'll start with an example to demonstrate my question. Say I'm organizing the kitchen to try and make things as efficient as possible. Food in one place, containers here. And so I observe my wife's movements through the kitchen to see how she interacts with her environment. But to optimize that, I need to do that forever because she continues to change and evolve and, you know, cooking in different ways, new recipes. So I guess my question is, how can we optimize everything when it takes an infinite amount of time to do so?
Okay, how can we optimize everything if it's going to take an infinite amount of time? So this is obviously for one of you. And we've spoken about something to do with a relationship here that might need a bit more elimination. So just start talking, it's going to work for you.
Hello?
Yeah, it's been optimized. Yep.
That's a very good summary. I try to optimize my environment quite often as well. I can feel the same. I feel it's more about optimizing the process. So as you said, your observations. If you have an optimal way, you know, once a month, for example, you look at the environment and then you optimize it to make it a little better. Because that's essentially what we do with our environments, right? Your desk, you know, as you change in your career, your desk does not stay the same. You know, depending on what you're working on, you will change your layout, you know. Your house as well, you know, when you have kids, you will change it. You will not have the same house you did before. So I think we automatically, as we go through, if we optimize our environment for certain tasks and purposes, and I think you can do, how do I say, you can optimize the system of doing so. So, you know, once a week, you go through and then you quickly see what she's cooking, you do it. You know, you do it once a month, which I think is better than not doing it at all, you know, and just having everything everywhere because you've put no thought into it. You know, you wouldn't know where anything was. If a recipe's changed, she would just be looking for everything everywhere. I mean, your initial question was you wanted to make it easier for her, yes? We optimize for that.
Okay, so are you convinced by that argument? Can I just quickly say to that point, if my kitchen was optimized for my wife, it would be a nightmare because I do all the cooking. So, and she doesn't, anyway. So,
Thank you for the question.
So thank you, yeah, thank you so much. So there you go, it's about the seeking. The seeking of the optimization is what matters. So we're getting more of an illumination from this side. Can we have another question, please? Where are we? Yes, up there, thank you so much. Okay,
Hello.
just say your name. And
I'm
your question.
Robin. Hi.
Hi.
This is a question for Associate Professor Tack. I wasn't sure you weren't arguing for the other team because optimization under constraint is still very much optimization. Do you reckon that there's there's room to be progress to be made in optimization that would allow it to incorporate more of the human constraints, more adaptable to human imperfections?
Okay, thanks. So I think maybe two parts to that answer. So first of all, I think my argument is that in many cases the constraints are really the important thing that will drive the decision making and not the optimization. And trying to optimize will maybe not make you look at the problem with its constraints in its fullest form. And I think that's part of the problem, that we have to focus on what are the actual constraints, and then we need to make decisions within those constraints. And in many cases, that doesn't mean optimization. It just means finding a solution at all. It's about problem solving, not optimization. Because it's just far too hard. Right? We can't even get to the optimization part in many cases. So your second part of the question was how we can optimize more about how humans... Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. Is there, because obviously methods of optimization are constantly progressing and adapting, do you reckon there's more potential for it to incorporate all the human messiness?
Yes, I think that's really important. And I want to make it very clear that I'm not arguing for the other team because sometimes, as we said, optimization is critical. And when we can optimize, I absolutely agree with you, we have to take the humans into account because that's in many cases, that's some of the most difficult to satisfy constraints that we have in the system, right? That we have to take human behavior, just human differences, diversity into account when we make decisions. So I completely agree that that's a really great direction for a lot of interesting research. But we can't do that all the time.
And can I think I just want to just clear up a few things here because optimization and perfection are not the same things, yeah? So I think there's a lot of kindred spirits in here who are going, everything is optimizable and perfection is a great thing. But that's not necessarily the case. So just to be clear, we are talking about optimizing everything. Obviously, optimization is great, and we've heard both sides of those arguments, but it's whether it needs to be applied to everything to a sense of perfection. And the idea that imperfection is actually very worthy, maybe humanity's best feature. So in that case, I think it did a fantastic job of talking about constraints, and constraints being something that you hold yourself back. Do we have any parents in the room? Yeah, so you all know about constraints. Yeah, so we need to actually apply constraints when we're trying to raise children, and we have to be working with imperfections because that's part of the process. Okay, so we need a few more questions. Yes, over here, thank you so much. Can we bring a microphone over this way, and please start making some ideas in your heads. Sorry, we're getting a lot of kitchen analogies here in the debate. All right, yes.
Thank you, Kate Smith-Miles. Question, I guess, for either team, both teams. Given that we've heard that perfection can indeed be harmful, I ask, what is the optimal amount of optimization that we should be doing?
Oh, I'd like to hear from both sides on that. Can we hear an answer from both sides?
Thank you for the question. I think, as I mentioned in my early parts, it's not the end solution that we look for. It's really the process of seeking perfection. So even we know we might not get there, but we have to keep trying. And that's part of, I guess, human condition. We, continue improving ourselves, aiming for the best. And that's how I guess, human history, how we evolve, from the Stone Age now to more technologically advanced age. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Who'd like to take that? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. And I just referring to what the other team as well mentioned, and I can maybe answer the question. So they were talking about the disaster of global warming and climate change. So what leads to that? Wasn't it because we were optimizing wells at some point and then ruined the world? And then now we are going to optimize again to save it. So we have to think about it. So maybe we have to think about that, how much we are going to optimize the wells at that time. So, or maybe the example that Shudan mentioned, we shouldn't be perfect person to marry. So maybe you should be honest from the beginning that we are imperfect, so not leading to the marriage fail. So be careful how much you're optimizing, especially in one objective, looking at the other aspects. Could be something.
Okay, thank you so much. We've got one more. Sorry, we're hearing a lot of stuff about optimizing relationships and things in the kitchen. It seems to be that's where all the money is. So perhaps if you can all focus on that in the room and actually help with those. Do we have a question down here as well? Yeah, so we're going to have one question.
Yeah, I have a question. So I think we shouldn't optimize everything. So before this debate, and I saw there's a description, event description. There is a sentence it's called, how about we can go to a hot pot at 2 a.m. And I told these things to my girlfriend. He said, oh yes, I will feel so happy at that time. I say, why not it can be a part of optimization? Because it's the best solution. Like my girlfriend will be happy at that time. Even it's unknown things in the whole part, I think also it can be seen as a part of optimization. So that's it's my opinion. It's also my questions. Why not can be the unknown things be a part of optimization?
Why can't unknown things?
Yeah, like the for the happiness or something else of the suddenly some things happen suddenly. It also can be considered as a optimization.
Right.
Yeah.
People want to talk about relationships. And this is something that we should acknowledge, the fact that relationships need to be optimized. So this is something that maybe we should get in touch with you and talk about this. Okay, so who would like to say something about that? Yeah, you're able to say something. So we're just going to make sure we get through everyone, but yes, you can have something as well, yes.
Okay, I think when you want to go on to get a sandwich on 2 a.m., it means that you have an objective function to want to optimize, and it's maximize happiness. So and Hadi told about different objective functions. Yes, in optimization, we can define multiple objectives and optimize them at the same time. So we cannot ignore one objective function and only focus on another one. We should, in this case, maybe you can make some problems for others. It's not optimized. So I think that in this case, we can define multiple objective functions and optimize all of them at the same time. So that's the solution.
Wow, fantastic. Are you convinced? Get your definitions right before you ask a question. This is what you're talking about. Define things, and they're very good. Are you happy with that answer? Yes, okay. Well, round of applause. That's so good. Who wants to keep going with these questions? We have heard from everyone. We got one more. Did you want to say something real quick to that? No?
Who's the decision maker in that couple? Because if you've got one objective, you've got one decision maker.
I'm telling you, this is really getting into... Okay, yes. We'll have another question here.
Okay, this is mainly for team perfection. So we know that we should optimize everything, but who should we be optimizing for, right? Because the goals of, say, the individual versus the community can be different or at times even conflicting. So, So take anti-vaxxers, the anti-vaccine community, for example. A mother might think that she's optimizing for the health of her child by choosing not to vaccinate them, whereas the community goals, they would be optimizing for the health of the community and, herd protection. So I guess my question is a clarification, because if everyone, like you said, the prisoner's dilemma is a really good example, if everyone optimized for themselves, that might not produce the most optimal outcomes for the community.
Okay, this is getting good. We're at the part of the debate where things need to be defined correctly. Okay, so what we're going to do is what I'd like to do to finish off in this part. I'd like Team Perfection to answer that question, and then we're going to pose a question, or maybe would you like to answer the same question? Would you like... No, you don't want to answer that question. We'll come up with a question for Team Imperfection. So please...
Thank you for the question. I think your question is exactly about multi-objective optimization. So when you try to optimize in one objective, doesn't mean you're not optimizing the other. There might be conflict between the objective. That is perfectly okay. So you have this kind of optimization method allow you simultaneously optimize along different dimensions, different objectives. This is what we call them trade-off solutions, right? So in life, in real life situation, as you mentioned, you have individual goals you want to achieve, and you have society level goal you want to achieve. So we can treat them as a, two dimension. Even there's conflict between them, we can manage them, optimize simultaneously, right? Even this dynamic environment, right? We can optimize, there's dynamic optimization.
And can I add something? We have, about multi-level optimization? Again, we have some level that it's, for example, decisions that made by the community, and you are in the lower level as a decision, as a person. So again, we can optimize this kind of decisions. So I think optimization can solve everything now. So yeah, and also about multi-objective and different dimensions, yeah. Thank you.
All right, well, that's a lovely way of phrasing all of this argument. Lovely way of phrasing some of the issues, some of the problems, and the fact that we need to be careful with our definitions. Thank you. Did you want to say something?
I can respond to that if you want.
Yeah, of course.
So we all know and love multi-objective optimization, but we're putting weights on those different things. Who's putting the weights on those different things, right? It's not gonna coordinate the whole planet if you just say, okay, I'm the centralized person that I'm going to weight all these things appropriately. I mean, it's still, when you're doing multi-objective, you've still got, one person that's making those value judgments about, how to put these different objectives together. And, it's not going to be perfect.
I think that's been solved.
Yeah, but it's not going to be perfect, is it?
Optimizing weight is optimization. You can optimize in a way with the problem itself, right? What's wrong with that?
Okay, I think we need one more question. Yes, you have a question? Sure.
Thank you. My question is for Team Imperfection. So I'm curious that your team mentioned climate change in relation to being imperfect. Because the effects of climate change that we're feeling today is because we fail to optimize things. We fail to, run cars efficiently without producing all this carbon dioxide. And I would love to find an optimum solution for everyone to get to places, without doing much to the planet. And, people in the past haven't been able to find that solution, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't aim for it. And so my question is, given that climate change is largely driven by human actions and shortcomings, are you comfortable with accepting that these imperfections are a justification for inaction or insufficient response?
Okay, thank you. That was a great question.
Yeah, and I think that's really at the core of what we need to discuss. And so, for example, we know that the most efficient way to get our energy usage reduced is by introducing a carbon tax. We also know that that just didn't work in this country. And my point is that we have to work with the people, right? We cannot just say we should do a carbon tax if that's just not politically possible. We have to then just seek other ways of achieving similar goals, right? So we cannot always go for the optimal solution in one way of measuring things. I think cars are also a really good example, because if we just kept optimizing internal combustion engine cars, we would get very low emissions cars, but there would still be 8 billion people on the planet using internal combustion engine cars. So it doesn't just require optimizing one technology, it requires a complete systems change. And I think that's something that cannot just be done by optimization. It requires just people working together under all of the limitations that we have in a society.
Give them a round of applause, please. That was fantastic. Thank you for a great last question. Okay, we now have time for the final word. We now are going to ask one member from each team to come up with their final rebuttals, although we have heard some rebuttals already happening ad hoc. Tava, would you like to come up and do the final 2 minutes? Put your hands together for Tava.
Great. Yes, so we've already had quite a lot of rebuttal, but there's been a lot of talk about optimization driving progress. But a lot of what we were hearing was more problem solving. It wasn't actually optimization. Further, optimization is great for controlling systems, but it ignores that human element, right? The imagination, that those effects of failure and chance are precisely what optimization is trying to eliminate. We heard that imperfection is wasteful, but its absence is stagnation. Humanity shouldn't. Yes, we heard that humanity should strive for perfection, but that leaves out the human at the center. We can't optimize art and music, right? There is no optimization I know of art or music. We heard that not all imperfection is good. That's true, but that's not the motion that we're debating. We're debating we shouldn't optimize everything, and I think there's lots of examples of where it actually doesn't make sense to optimize. We heard that optimization is necessary for survival. We'd also rebutted that a bit. But also I would ask, who is making those decisions for us? Whose values are we using? You know, we cannot ignore the human element of this, and therefore we shouldn't optimize everything.
Thank you. Oh, I love where that's ended up, that argument. Thank you so much. Okay, we have one final speaker to hear. Yasser, would you like to come up? Please put your hands together for Yasser for the last 2 minutes for Team Negative.
Thank you, the affirmative team, for humoring us once more. I've listened to your concerns, and I think I know what the problem is. You just have a misspecified objective function. And it happens to the best of us, it's okay. You're trying to optimize the wrong things. You see, some areas are more straightforward to optimize, but others, like love, social interaction, they're just more complex objectives, that's all. You may have to optimize the conditions and the processes rather than the goals, you know? Optimize your schedule to complete your PhD, you know? Come on, Windows should be more optimized, really, yeah. Optimize dinner for consumption. Look, the truth is, I wanted to be convinced by you because optimizing everything is hard, right? It's tiring, it's exhausting, and as you've said, sometimes it takes away a little bit of what makes us human. So why do I do it? Well, unlike yourselves, I was born burdened with a conscience, right? Therefore, I must. You know, I don't have a choice. Call me a machine, but I would like my great-grandchildren to have clean water one day, you know? While we all laughed listening to your arguments, our descendants wept. You know? While the groups of individuals who have marched us, when they speak of the groups of individuals that marched us to extinction, I do not expect the Optima 2025 affirmative team to be amongst them. But here we are, and so it is. But the decision here is not with me, it is with you. I know many of you here share the same burden I do, the desire to see humanity not falter because of its flaws, but to rise above it. And so I ask you, fight with us. Optimize, perfect, strive, and prosper. Finally, I'll leave you with some words which are not my own, but someone else's. Where I fail to convince you, perhaps he can. Optimization techniques aim to find the best solution to a given problem. It promises to help us make better decisions. Dr. Guido Tack. Thank you.
Cheeky, cheeky. Oh my goodness. All right, how was that, everyone? What a fantastic debate. You've heard from both sides. Are you now convinced? Well, which side? Is it Team Imperfection or Team Perfection? Okay, so we're going to be doing this in a non-optimal way. But that's okay, because ultimately... No, it's just a bit of fun. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get you to make some noise for the team that you've chosen. So yes, I do understand how that is quite limited because you might actually only want to put in a little bit of noise for who it is that you want. Therefore, there could be a majority making noise, but they won't win the side that they want because a smaller minority is making a lot of noise. Sound familiar? Okay, so that's how we're going to play it. We're going to play it with imperfect democracy. Okay, so get ready. Is everyone okay? You've had enough liquids? You're okay? Okay, ready? Team Imperfection! Is that it? Okay, and Team Perfection! Does Team Imperfection want to go again? And Team Perfection? I can't pick it, can you? That sounds very split. What do we want to do? Optimize this. Okay, optimize it. Do we want to do a show of hands? No, we don't want to do a show of hands. Let's not. Okay, one more time for Team Imperfection. Come on. One more time for Team Perfection. I'm going to give it to Team Perfection. Round of applause for them. But I want you to know that it was an incredible debate. And I think you heard some great ideas coming through. And also the fact that, evolution is, something we have to think about. Is that what you got out of that? Okay. And relationships, which are all about one of the engines of evolution. Thank you so much. Thank you. Big round of applause for everyone involved. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I hand you back.
Hello. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. We have no food left, but please feel free to stay behind and chat and talk to anybody about optimization or pose any questions you want to ask. We're really excited to chat to you today. Thank you to the teams. That was wonderful. Tab's got a gift for you to say thank you. And please stay behind so we can take a photograph of you all. That would be great. And thank you very much to Simon. We really appreciate you once again. Big hand. Oh, Kate.
Kate Smith-Miles, Director of Optima. Thank you all so much for coming. And yes, thank you, Simon. Amazing as always. Thank you, team. Thank you also to Charlotte and Tab for, where's Tab? There she is. For doing such an amazing job. Please bring on the gifts, but thank you to the people that made this event happen, and thank you to you, the audience, for coming and making it such fun. Honestly, if we're maximising happiness, I would have gone with a tie, Simon, but anyway. That would have maximised the happiness of these 6 people and all the audience.
I'm happy to be overruled.
Well, I don't know. Must we have a winner? Anyway, you made the call. Team Perfection. Look, as someone who spends my life trying to look at the world and optimise and make it better, I'm delighted Team Perfection won. But as a human, and I do recognise the limitations of optimising and perfection, part of my heart is quite sad. But, so that's why I was going for the tie. But anyway, I clapped equally vigorously for both teams, as I hear many of you did as well. Anyway. Thank you all. It's been a wonderful event. Hope we see you next year, Simon, and hope we see all of you next year as well. Thank you.